Albert and Chan, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on Nexen and also providing us with the context on investing in Korea, detailing the various investment approaches that you think make sense in this market. And I'd like to refer anybody with further questions for Chen and Albert to get in touch with them directly. I believe there is some contact information on one of the slides here at the end, and if you'd like, feel free to also get in touch with us and we will facilitate your questions being answered in the online conference area. Perhaps, Albert, just a quick follow-up from me on Nexen. I was curious whether you could just sort of give us your sense as to which then of these alternative ways you have chosen and tell us why.
As I explained, Nexen Tire, the common stock itself is cheap, but its preferred stock, which is discounted more than 55 or 60% from the price of the common stock, and also the holding company itself is more than 50% discounted from the price of the value of the tire company itself. So we think that the buying the Nexen Tire through its preferred stock or holding company is a lot cheaper ways, a better ways to buy the same company, the same stock. But again, the Nexen Tire itself is also not very expensive and relatively cheap.
I guess maybe to ask then how you're playing this, and you referred, or rather Chan referred earlier in his discussion about preferred shares in Korea, about the need perhaps to do a pair trade to just isolate that let's say discount. So I'm curious, if you could just tell us whether you think it would make sense to own both the preferred stock and the holding company, or how do you think about doing a pair trade versus just going long the preferred? Or if you could just give us a sense as to what you're doing in the portfolio, that would be helpful.
Pair trading is also possible, and we think it will work. And pair trading is itself a bet on the gap narrowing eventually. But for us, we don't do shorts, so we buy only undervalued preferred stock or a holding company. But in that case, we have to be very careful about choosing the right stock, because the gap, of course, eventually could be narrowed. But one way of the gap narrowing down is, for example, by the price of the common stock going down, when in case the common stock price is overvalued, and also that's the same for holding company. If the underlying subsidiary, the price is overvalued, then that overvalued stock could go down, the price could go down, then that way the gap could narrow down. So when you buy only a preferred stock or a holding company, you have to be very careful about the right stock to choose. But in general, the pair trading is also possible.
And just to I guess tease out some of your preferences with regards to the holding company or the preferred shares here. Can we bring in your assessment of the management here? You haven't touched on the owner of Nexen. Give us a sense of the management, the owner here, and how you got comfortable with the fact that this owner will sort of treat investors in Nexen Tire fairly relative to the other entities there, and give us a sense as to, do you think, investing in the holding company is the sort of level at which one is invested alongside the owner as well? Is that the best way to sort of be aligned totally with the owner of and the controlling family behind these entities?
Yes, the controlling family has ownership in its holding company, so that way their interests, of course, are aligned with the holding company itself. So in that sense, we think the buying holding company is a good way, and also in many Korean companies, the management has some problems with capital allocation. But in this case, for Nexen Tire, they have the growing company, and they invest their cash or capital for the expansion. So there's very little room for error here. So we are more confident with Nexen Tire itself compared to other companies in Korea.
And to move on, I had a question for Chan. A lot of investors make comparisons between Korea and Japan, and I was curious if you could share your thoughts on how you think about investment opportunities in Korea versus Japan, and specifically based on your comments around activism, give us a sense as to why you think in Korea activism would work better than is the case in Japan, or for that matter elsewhere in Asia.
Sure. As discussed earlier, we believe that corporate governance and rule of law have improved significantly in Korea, and that has resulted in a more favorable environment for activist investors. In that sense, Korea is quite different from Japan because minority shareholder rights are better protected, and Korean management teams are generally open and more receptive to shareholder proposals by foreign investors. As you can see, in many of the small to medium-sized companies in Korea, they are typically controlled by founding family members who often hold excess cash and pay little dividends. So there is basically, you have a one party or one majority shareholder you can actually go after and then try to negotiate a deal. And they, the family member or the family-controlled team, management team, will be accountable for the decision of the company. Therefore, if we sort of convince them to pay out more dividends or buy back shares, they're likely to benefit the most because they hold controlling shares, and they realize that this is the right thing to do for their own benefit as well. And so unlike Japanese management team, I think Korean management team generally are more open to overtures made by foreign investors, and at the same time, because of the way that or the fact that they control the majority majority shares, it just makes sense them to go with the type of corporate actions that are shareholder friendly. And once again, yes, it is important that the Korean legal framework, and also to be familiar with the Korean business culture, so that when you do engage in activism, it has to be done in a proper way. And yes, in that sense, in Asia, sort of in-your-face or public embarrassment type of activism is not well received. So I strongly suggest that you team up with the local management firms or local experts, investment managers, to help you to engage in activism in order to increase your winning chances.
Well, we'll leave it at that. Chan and Albert, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to share your thoughts on Korea, as well as the compelling ways to invest in Nexen with us here today. Anybody with further questions for Albert and Chan, and thank you for showing the slide here. I'd like to refer you to the contact information here, and feel free to get in touch with Albert and Chan, who I'm sure will be enthusiastic to get your further thoughts and questions. Thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Oliver, and we look forward to receiving questions from, anyone who may have questions about Korea or Nexen Tires.